There are mainstream bands basically in every era ever. 90s, 80s, 2000s, 70s. You get it. And in between those eras, there's always bands that don't get a lot of shine that they deserve. At the end of the day, you always hear about the successful stories, the bands that made it from dirt poor to rich and famous. And just because some bands didn't get the popularity as the mainstream bands, that doesn't make those bands bad or anything like that. Today, I want to talk about hidden gems and hidden gem bands in the 90s and 2000s. And yeah, man, these are some of my picks. I've done a little bit of research and I'm going to give you my opinion on them, and hopefully you guys enjoy them just as much as I do. But before I get into the video, please like and subscribe. That would help me out a bunch. And if you can please click that bell notification, it'll let you know whenever I post a new video, and you will be up to date with Dumbtoes videos. Before I start, let me know a hidden gem that you can think of right off the top of your head down in the comments below. And yeah, let's get started. Let's talk about some good music. The first band that I want to talk about is a band that I was just completely floored by when I first listened to them, and this is the band Maya Shore. And dude, I can't believe this music just goes so under the radar sometimes, and there's really a bunch of great music that has happened in every era. It really puts things into perspective when you look at it. There's a bunch of amazing music that we'll probably never listen to, which sucks, but once we find it, it'll just be an amazing feeling. And this is an amazing feeling I feel like I've achieved when I found this band Maya Shore. Please do myself and do yourself a favor by listening to their 2001 album Farewell to Introductions. Pretty much what you're going to get when you listen to this band is a mixture of emo and some slowcore. I really enjoy some of that stuff for my ears. I'm talking pretty instrumentals. These guitar riffs just trickle down into your ears and just provide this sweet symphony, I guess. And this sort of emotion is being brought out in the vocals as well, and everything really. And this band, when I first found them, I honestly just found them on Spotify, and that's one thing I really appreciate about Spotify, is that they'll just recommend some of these bands that you will never look up ever, because some of the names are very different. You don't hear these band names all too often, and once you do, they kind of stick because the music is that good. The vocals on here definitely did not disappoint me whatsoever. Sometimes you get a band that sounds good instrumentally, and then the vocals kind of let it down, kind of just make you wince a little bit, and you're like, oh man, could have been better, but you can't really change anything because it was back then in the 90s, I guess. Maya Shore did not disappoint, did not let me down, and I had no idea about this band, so I didn't really go into it with expecting some sort of sound. I just went into it very blind, and they made a fan out of me, man. And hopefully they make a fan out of you as well. The next band I'm going to talk about is a band called MIJ, and I'm not too sure if that stands for anything because, you know, it's whatever, but yeah, MIJ, my goodness, a lot of different stuff going on. And I know I say that a lot, but this band really provides some acoustic stuff, provides some very aggressive post-hardcore riffage as well. The vocals are just amazing, and there's so much that goes into it and so much energy and time that you can really appreciate when you listen to MIJ. Again, I feel like I'm pronouncing that wrong, and I don't know, man, but the music itself is very much worth it. The acoustic stuff really does remind me a lot of some Elliott Smith acoustic riff stuff, and I love Elliott Smith, and a lot of people do as well. So there's a lot of different flavors in here, like I said, and a lot of different people could appreciate this type of music. This band only has one album, and I know it says 2 albums on Spotify, but I believe that they only released EPs in the mid-90s to the 2000s, which their only album was released in the year 2000. So the Radio Goodnight, by the way, I should have mentioned that. This band is definitely a colorful band that really could connect to a bunch of different people, and I would go into it a little blind, even though I did describe some detailizations in there. So ignore what I said really with all of these bands and just go into it. Don't even overthink it. Just go into the band, listen to them. And that's what really gravitates a new fan, and they gravitated towards me. And I'm trying to put Alexa, my lovely lady, on because it does remind me of her a little bit in a sense, I guess. All right, the next band on my list is a band called 49 Hudson. And in the same way I found the band Maya Shore, I found 49 Hudson in my recommended after I listened to Maya Shore, and I was very pleased with what I was hearing. They are also very colorful in their approach to this post-hardcore type of sound, and it's kind of like Maya Shore in a way, but I feel like the vocals are very much different. They're much more screaming and have that emo twang to it. If you're a fan of that twang in that voice and just that emotional thing, then you can definitely bump this band, and I really enjoy this band a lot. They're much more aggressive than Maya Shore and pretty much any other band on my list, but they kind of compare a little bit to MIJ, I guess, because they do have that louder sound. And with this band, you feel like there's more of a dark picture being painted, which I can appreciate because some of the other bands have emotions, but it's much more like they're spewing stuff from their diary type of emotion. They feel very much darker and just, I don't know, mysterious, I guess, and that adds a lot. From what I can tell, they only have one album out, released in 1998, called For Weeks at a Time, and what a wonderful, beautiful album with a lot of darkness in between. The next band on my list is a band I've talked about before on TikTok. I actually don't know if I've ever talked about this band on YouTube, but this might be the first time. I'm talking about the band Centaur. And if you're a Hum fan, then you'll know that this is a different project that lead singer Matt Talbot has actually created in 1998, I believe, but they released an album in the 2000s. Released in 2002, an album called In Streams, and this album is very different compared to Hum in a sense. Even though it is the same lead singer, the same songwriting, it feels a lot more personal. You can hear sadness throughout the whole album, and specifically in the song The Same Place. And once I found out kind of a background to that story and the song, it really made the whole album feel different and put everything in a new perspective, because the song is about the lead singer having a newborn that passed away, and that is some heavy stuff, and the lyrics are very sad, and there's a lot of emotion in this album and in this band. I know they only have one album out, but I believe they're working on new material recently, so that's very exciting, and maybe it's going to be a different approach, but the whole album and the whole band as a whole feels very explosive in a lot of different areas, and you could say the guitar, instrumentals, drums, everything, which I appreciate and just adore. So yeah, shout out Centaur, and the future album or future whatever will be phenomenal. I already know it. I don't even got to hear it yet. The last band on my list is a band called Tacoma Radar, and this band is fantastic. My goodness, slowcore at its finest. Late 90s, early 2000s slowcore to be exact. And with slowcore, you know what to expect within the noise. There's a lot of cloudiness within the instrumentals. The vocals within this band are so much more sunny and so much more bright. And I'm serious, I feel like the vocals bring a different kind of shine onto the band's tracks. It does kind of just paint a bunch of different pictures, but I feel hopeful. I feel more positive within this cloudy sound. This band has a lot of lovely music, and I feel like there's only so much you can sound like whenever you make slowcore, but this band does it differently for some reason, and it's probably because of the vocals that really attract me towards this band's whole sound. Very lovely music, and I recommend their album No One Waved Goodbye, which released in 2004, and yeah, man, this band is really probably my favorite one in terms of the slowcore aspect. Every other band has this type of emo stuff, except Centaur, I guess. It's more of an alternative rock type of sound as well. So a lot of different flavors, a lot of different stuff going on. I like saying flavors for some reason. But that's all I really got to say in my 90s/2000s hidden gems bands. Again, don't know what to title this video, but it's going to be something of that variation. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found some new music. I found some new music, and I'm very excited. I'm going to start listening to these bands a lot more and trying to find more bands and make a part 2. And it's just an exciting thing to do overall as a music fan and music lover enjoyer. Please like and subscribe. Keep the music alive. Don't let these 90s 2000s bands hidden gems die. That was a crazy outro, and I'm sweating like crazy. I hope you guys enjoyed though. Goodbye.